We beseech thee to vouchsafe thy blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement of thy glory and the true welfare of the people of the Regional Council and Australia. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So, councillors, I would now like to formally open the meeting. And the first item on the agenda is apologies. Apologies and leave of absence, and as we are all in attendance, we have no leave of absence with us. We'll move to item 2, community consultation, and we don't have any members of the community to present to us this evening, so that brings us to item 3, minutes of the previous meeting.
Move them, Mr. Mayor.
Move Councillor Webb and seconded Councillor Betts. Thank you. Any matters arising from the minutes? If not, I'll put that motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? The motion is carried. Item 4, disclosures of interest. Are there any councillors have any declarations? Councillor Rodder?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just item 11.1 or 12.1 in closed council. I'm an employee of Deep High Housing and Property Crown Lands, and I did know that the matter may be referred to them for discussion and in the future. But as I would not determine anything that might come from council for any tenure on that Crown land, I would like to register a less than significant non-pecuniary interest, and I will remain in the chamber.
Thank you. Any further disclosures, councillors? If not, we'll move on through item 5. There's no Merrill minute nor notice of motion. Item 6. That will bring us to item 8.1.
Move it, Mr. Mayor.
Move Councillor Webb and seconded Councillor Impey. Thank you. Councillor Webb, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Oh, no, Mr. Mayor, but I did have a question. I haven't seen it there, but in terms of improving the installation of a length limit, buses exempt, in dot point 2 in the recommendation. What about garbage trucks, and what about furniture trucks if people are moving in that area? And the other one, of course, would be if there is some building works to be carried out there, there would have to be an opportunity for them to seek some sort of permissioning. Could I get a response on that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Generally, when we have a limit on like that, we would also have a permit process in place where local traffic could get a permit to access.
In terms of permits for building things, that's fine, but what about our garbage trucks?
Yes, well, we could potentially give the garbage contractors a permit as well.
Same as the buses exempt, should be garbage trucks exempt as well. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to actually, having moved the motion, I'd actually like to include that in the motion, that while we're exempting buses, the garbage trucks are also exempt.
That need to be an amendment, will it? That won't need an amendment.
Mr. Mayor, I have no objection. I think she just added dot point 2 and that an appropriate permit system be put in place.
Not necessarily, and an appropriate permit system be put in place, but garbage trucks will be there every week. So,
we would just give them a blanket permit. So.
Okay. And the seconder, Councillor Impey, you're right with that. Councillor Wilson, thank you.
It's just a question, Mr. Mayor, to do with the Adam Street one near Tamara. Does the yellow lines indicate the area that's in question, but does the no stopping sign go right past where the road narrows? Because it's quite a tricky spot in there. So if I could ask that, so from the yellow line where the proposed change will be, but is it no stopping right up to the wider part of Adam Street?
Could you refer that to me?
Yeah, Mr. Russell might be best placed to answer that one.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the inquiry is made in relation to visibility for equity in Adam Street. So it's primarily addressing that particular issue. So it's only the corners that are marked with the visibility requirement. I am aware that there may be some other concerns that Tamara may have, but they haven't raised them with us yet, so we haven't had the opportunity to discuss them, and it's simply extended or varied depending on what their requirements are. So at the moment, it's just addressing that initial request.
Okay. Councillor Wilson.
Mr Mayor, from my experience there, the indication would be that the whole area needs to look at, because if you've got vehicles passing and vehicles parked, it's quite difficult to navigate there, just in terms of safety.
Councillor Wilson, would you like that referred to the Traffic Committee?
Yes, I would,
For
please.
consideration, thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Abbey?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Oh, look, I wasn't going to raise this one. It's probably something to refer to the Traffic Committee for more information, if possible, in the future. But I'm really interested in the Young Drivers Expo and the Transport for New South Wales intent to partner with TRC and the police with that event, I assume, and other matters, other different projects, and working with youth, elderly, and migrant groups and so forth. It's just a really interesting point. There's not a lot of information there, and I guess it would come in time. But yeah, looking forward to hearing more about that.
Thank you. Any further comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. Councillor, yes.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just in closing the debate, in relation to Councillor Wilson's question, I have been in discussions with the CEO at Tamara, and they are going to write to us. They do want to meet with perhaps Murray or Peter and talk about some of the issues up there. So I would ask that anything that's happening up there not be referred to the Traffic Committee until those discussions have taken place in the not too distant future.
Thank you. Okay, councillors, I'll now put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? Motion is carried. Item 8.2. With Councillor Tickle and Councillor Wilson, thank you. Councillor Tickle, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The draft Urban Street Tree Management Plan was on public exhibition for 33 days, during which time we received much positive feedback from the public. I thank the community for their feedback and also thank the Urban Street Tree Advisory Committee, staff and individuals for their contribution to the plan. Together with our community, we aim to green and cool the Tamworth region by substantially increasing the canopy coverage in urban areas, and to do this in a responsible and sustainable way. Trees are an essential infrastructure and asset. Maintaining increasing green spaces and treescapes increases the appeal and livability of urban spaces by decreasing temperatures during the summer months and providing habitat, health and wellbeing benefits. We need to implement sound maintenance practices to ensure that trees planted today will be there for the benefit of current and future generations. The support from the community groups, individuals, training organisations and neighbourhoods in embracing our plan and our aim to green and cool Tamworth has been extremely encouraging. To date, plantings have been on council property with the support of Tamworth Regional Council. Plantings have been undertaken in parks, reserves, sporting fields, and in many cases have been funded by community groups and businesses or individuals. Over the last 2 years, thousands of trees have been planted. Our challenge now is to ensure maintenance for at least 2 to 3 years in the critical establishment stage. Whilst tree plantings and maintenance will continue on council property, there is now a recognised need, to shift our focus to shade tree plantings in CBDs, residential and industrial estates. Together with the residents, we also need to address the lack of green canopy in our existing subdivisions and industrial estates, some of which are void of trees. Significant planning has already occurred in regard to new residential subdivisions and industrial estates, and I thank the staff for this. Our challenge now is the implementation of our plan to achieve positive outcomes for now and in generations to come.
Thank you. Any councillors wish to speak against the motion? Any councillors wish to make comment? Councillor Wilson?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd also, as Councillor Tickle did, thank the committee, the Urban Street Tree Committee. They've been amazing, and so has Councillor Tickle in driving this. He's been full of energy. It's a draft document and it's an indication that TRC is coming of age in acknowledging the significance of treeing our region. It is now becoming more than just a postscript at the base of a DA, or DCP or a road upgrade. This is just the beginning. Treeing and beautifying our region is about so many things, and the things that it involves and the things that impact are numerous. The key one for me is urban design and planning. We need to be able to live in a place that we find attractive. We need to be able to live in a place that's environmentally sound, and there are so many other things. Cooling our CBDs and our residential precincts. It will involve health and well-being. People feel more at ease. It reduces the stress level at which their bodies work. It involves climate change. It involves carbon. It can involve carbon trading if we're smart, because we're thinking about the whole region. It also involves land and waterway management. It involves sustainability, environmental responsibility, including that for microhabitats and bird life. But of course, it's also critical for our tourism market, making our towns a choice destination, making an attractive and healthy place for our children to grow up in. Treeing our city can also promote us as an education and research hub for smart greening. It's becoming a key area for research. And with the UNE coming here, and we're keen to get research projects going, we've already got one on the go. It's an area of research, and we need to hone into that. It can also promote us as an educational research hub for smart greening. Also, we need to value and care and understand what we have. In other words, this is where we want to go, but we also have to value what we've got. It's just the smart. This document is the where, the what, the how and the why. It's the encouragement for us as a council, but also as a community, and I commend it to the whole council and the community.
Thank you. Any further comments, councillors? Councillor Rodder?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to say, it's great that we've got a plan. We've had now 21 months of great weather, and I think now's the time, less talk and more action now. We don't know when the next drought's going to hit us, and I think that we do have a significant deficit of tree plantings in many new and old subdivisions, and I would like to see that brought up to speed, as particularly for our new suburban subdivisions that have nothing, and also the approaches to our city and smaller towns. Because you only have to travel, well, when we could travel around the state and the country to see how attractive towns look as you're coming into them. That sort of gives you the first clue about how nice a place really is, and Tamworth City particularly is one that really lacks in that amenity from trees. But certainly, pleased that we've now got a plan. I think we need to implement it as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Any final comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Item 8.3. Move to Councillor Rodder and second Councillor Webb. Councillor Rodder, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Any councillors wish to speak against? Any councillors wish to make comment? Councillor Betts.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Excellent report. And I just, when reading the report, looked at the initiatives that this council has taken over the last 20 odd years, going back to 1996 and right through to now. The potable water consumption has not risen in that period of time. And it's because of initiatives that is contained in this report and the previous 20 odd years that's really allowed having the community on board, that's really driven that reduction in water usage, and I just encourage people to really take on board these new initiatives. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just think it's good. It's a good report, and thanks to Louise for doing that, the staff member. But it's great to see that we're all on permanent water conservation measures. I think that's we'd like to see it there like that for the next 12 months or 2 years if we could. It's just great for the people that live in our region. Interestingly, in the report it talks about let's work together, the Thrive campaign. That's something that we should be working very hard on there to maintain our supplies as best we can. But one of the important ones in there too, coming into summer, is the evaporative air conditioners. So not only do they use a lot of water, and it actually talks about it in the report across the region, they probably use up to about 4 million litres a day. But individually, if you've got an evaporative air conditioner, you don't maintain it, it's in good shape, it's not going to be as effective as it could be. So it'll cost you a little bit more in water, but it'll also cost you more in other energy, electricity or whatever, to make that work not as efficiently as it could. So let's hope that the people in the community that have got evaporative air coolers on their roofs actually do take a little bit of notice of what's happening here and listen to what some of our people are saying and get them serviced regularly and properly and get the pads replaced if needed, because if it is going to be a warm summer, we need to have them working as efficiently as we possibly can.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Tickle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's an excellent report. This division has always presented well-researched reports, and also a demonstration has clearly demonstrated the work that has been done in the community, and a lot of that, of course, is in conjunction with other training divisions and with other directorates. And one such example is our water-sensitive design initiatives. I'd like to see those kept activated, start the momentum again. Like at the moment, because we're having regular rain, people tend to forget about their recycling. However, for long term, we just really need to keep that in mind. In October 2019, we unanimously in this council passed a motion to do for water sensitive design and grey water. To better use that precious resource that we usually just pump out down the drain. So, and to that end, the staff quickly implemented a plan in consultation with industry, to the extent that we now have external drainage pipes in any new builds. However, we need to continue the education on the use of grey water and what it can be used for, and suitable washing detergents, for example, like powders that are cheaper powders that are usually padded out with salt, and of course that can kill your plants. So there's all those sorts of things that we need to be, just have a simple education or literature available for the community, because there is a lot of interest in this, and the community did come behind us, and so did business in all our water saving initiatives. Water sensitive design is including stormwater use or reuse is something else, and the way that is diverted, and the collection of water in gardens, how they're built in homes, so that the runoff can be filtered through the garden and watering it on its way. The sustainable gardens are a wonderful idea, and we've got many examples of those, and they can look quite attractive, and that's the secret to getting people on side, is to plan attractive water sensitive gardens that still add to the amenity of the area. And I believe that more the businesses will come on board with that, and again, a perfect time to be starting them off in these conditions that we're having. So thank you to the departments and to the community for the great work that we've done, and we definitely have to keep on with this education and keep the awareness in front of people Historically, when it rains, we're going to forget about it because we do have water at the moment, but that won't be the case forever. And with the latest iPart charges, it's going to be very expensive into the future, which is not our council's doing, that is the state government decision. So there are many good reasons to be saving water and to be continuing to be water wise in our planning.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Wilson?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I absolutely agree. It's using water, it's how we're going to pay for it after the benefits of the news this week. This is very timely and the report is excellent and it's comprehensive, as they always are, excellent reports. I just like to say the timing of this is really good. After being through a major drought, I think people are ready to look at water as a year-round thing, and now it's called a water management plan. It's not seen as a drought management plan. So in other words, people aren't thinking, oh, we're looking like being in a drought situation, or we are in a drought situation. I'll have to kick in my responsible management of water now. But rather what we're trying to do is encourage people to see water management as a year-round, as a lifestyle. And so many brilliant suggestions here. I'm really impressed, as I always am with these reports. The other thing, yesterday I had need to ring an air conditioner company, and so I asked them about cooling and what sort of ones are flying off the market, so to speak, and the response was that there's definitely a change away from evaporative coolings to reverse cycling. I mean, that's energy power-based, isn't it? They use a lot of energy, but nevertheless, it's certainly good from the water perspective. So that's as of yesterday and local. So thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any final comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? The motion is carried. That brings us to item 8.4.
Move
Councillor Webb and Councillor Maxwell, thank you. Councillor Webb, do you wish to speak?
it. No, thank you.
Any councillors wish to speak against? Any councillors wish to make comment? Councillor Inglis.
Mr Mayor, maybe a little bit against. The report, I don't know, I might be missing something, but it talks about an agreement as well, but I notice it's certainly not in the attachments. The attachment is purely a deed, and that's just the transferring of the ownership. Yet it talks about the all-important agreement, but I certainly there was no agreement in my business paper. So I guess that's one question. Why are we authorising the deed of transfer and not authorising an agreement? But just on the agreement, Mr Mayor, and I can only pick that up from some comments in the report, and that is that, tell me if I'm reading it wrong, Mr Mayor, but we're basically handing over a $60,000 asset. Just here you go. And we only get it rent-free for 10 years. At an absolute minimum. Why wouldn't that be forever, Mr Mayor? Why are we limiting ourselves to 10 years? We're handing over a $60,000 asset and we're happy with just 10 years rent-free. You've got to be joking. So a couple of questions there, Mr Mayor. As I say, is there supposed to be an agreement? Because the recommendation doesn't authorise it, but I would like to just sort of throw that open to the councillors. Why would we be satisfied with just 10 years? Handing over a $60,000 asset. We should have guaranteed access for as long as we wanted. So that's my question, Mr Mayor. So I'll throw that open to the council and see what they think. But why would we want to limit ourselves?
Mr Logan to make a comment.
But there is no agreement in there.
Mr Mayor, there is no agreement because the agreement was agreed to by council last time as part of the council report in 2019. And the agreement was to actually go on the site and construct the tower, and council agreed to enter into that agreement. What's now happened is that we were trying to negotiate a long-term arrangement in relation to how we would get access to that tower now that we've built it, and the New South Wales Police have now said that they want us to transfer the ownership of the tower to them. council has a number of options, Mr Mayor. It can say no, we don't want to do that. It's our asset, it's on your land, but we don't want to transfer it to New South Wales Police ownership. Or, as Councillor Inglis has said, we could ask for further rent relief or something like that in relation to entering into this deed. But we weren't contemplating at the time of July 2019 that we would have to transfer the asset to the New South Wales Police. This has come up after that, and it's presented to council to seek some direction on what council might like to do.
Thank you. Councillor Inglis, I don't completely disagree with you. I thought maybe this parcel of land or this, if we were getting good value out of a 10-year lease, might have been maybe 300 or 400 hectares or something. But I'd imagine it's only a few square metres of land that we're talking for our asset. So I'm in the hands of the council, but if there was an appetite to maybe revisit that negotiation with the police and with the term of the lease, I would think that could be appropriate. But Councillor Wilson.
Mr Mayor, a couple of things. Look, I agree with common sense cooperation between organisations. It's jolly good to see. I'm not entirely confident about the 10-year pull-up, and I'd be quite happy to move motion that we defer this and negotiate further. And also a question, how does this compare with the Flagstaff situation where we're sharing a facility up there with the police? And I wasn't quite sure of the details some time ago. So I'm just asking, how does this arrangement compare with that at Flagstaff where we share that with the police? And I think the the Rural Fire Brigade too. And I'm of a mind to ask for this to be deferred so we can negotiate further.
Thank you. The mover was Councillor Webb. And seconded by Councillor Maxwell.
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to see it pushed back and a bit more discussion take place, and I do agree with Councillor Inglis. There should be some more wriggle room in this arrangement and this agreement, considering the facts a bit further. So very happy for it to be reconsidered in that light, and if that means we defer until a future meeting, then so be it, and I'm happy to rescind my moving of the motion so that can be deferred.
Mr Mayor, I suggest that it probably be handy for the staff in going back to the New South Wales Police to say that the council considered this matter at a meeting of such and such, and they have said that they would be unwilling to sign the existing deed unless there was a rent-free period, indefinite rent-free period. That would, negotiating with New South Wales Police is quite difficult, and my view is that rather than leave it on the table and try and go back there and negotiate to them, say, look, this is an outcome that the council has resolved, and what does the New South Wales Police think about that?
So, councillors, in that vein, what are we suggesting as a 25 years, is it indefinite? There's a mutual benefit here where the police get access to a new asset on their land, albeit. So should we put a longer rent-free period, or?
Mr Mayor, I'd just tie it to the life of the asset. For the life of the asset.
Yeah, in perpetuity with the life of the asset.
Yep.
That's,
okay,
and why wouldn't we seek that?
So, Mr General Manager, how do we tidy this up? Do we...
I think the dot point one that was there, Mr Mayor, I think all you really have to do is enter in a deed on the basis that council is provided with free access to the tower for the life of the asset.
Yeah.
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to consider my motion to be worded in that way, because I think that's a better outcome than probably what is written. So very happy to do that. If the second is happy to.
Thank you. Okay, further comments, councillor Ryder?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just so we understand, it would be good to understand why they would like to own it, other than probably they might want to put their own infrastructure on the tower. It's probably better than their tower. Would that be the reason, perhaps? And secondly, in relation to, I think, Flagstaff, different owners, I think the police have tacked onto one that's a tower that's owned by other organisations, and I think that's the reason for that. But it would be nice to have that pleasant relationship with them, because it's quite evident that many agencies share towers for different organisations around the state. It would be nice to understand that, if we had our tower there that's been constructed at ratepayers' expense, that, while we have no issue with them using it, ownership, stays with us for the life of the asset.
Thank you. Any further comments, councillors? We've got a motion there that I think we can be comfortable with now. So if we have no further comment,
That's not the new recommendation, Mr Mayor. It's not up.
Okay. So if we're comfortable with that, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. And that brings us to item 9.1. To Councillor Wilson and Councillor Betts. Thank you. Councillor Wilson, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, Mr Mayor.
We have to delegate some councillors to register to attend this meeting on the eve of the election, 4 days out, 5 days out, 6 days from the election. But councillors, I would choose not to be a part of this. I don't propose being a part of the new council, so I would probably prefer not to attend that. It's only a 1 hour online voting session, so for officers for local government New South Wales. So could we have some nominations for attendance?
Mr Mayor, I would probably put myself forward as an attendee.
Thank you. Yeah. Councillor Betts. And we have 4 votes. Councillor Wilson.
No, Mr Mayor, I won't, because that's a bit awkward there. But I would say that Councillor Betts and I attended the online conference last time connected with New South Wales local government, and it was run very well, very efficiently and effective, and so I'm just recommending that as a worthwhile just a worthwhile something to be part of.
Councillor Tickle.
I'm happy to.
Thank you. So we've got 4. Any other councillors wish to attend? It'll be exciting, I reckon.
Mr Mayor, sorry, who have we got? So we've got Councillor Tickle, Councillor Webb, Councillor Betts.
And Councillor Wilson.
And Councillor Wilson.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, any further comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
No.
Those against? The motion is carried. And now, councillors, before we take a motion to have items 11, 1, 2 and 3 moved into closed council, could I make an offer to that member of the public that we have with us, if they'd like anything brought forward into open council? If not, thank you for your interest and attendance.
See you, Matty. See you later.
So councillors, if we could have a motion for In favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council, just a report from the closed session of the ordinary council meeting held on the 14th September 2021. In closed council, you considered 3 items, items 12.1 through 3, and for each of those you adopted the recommendation as per the business plan.
Thank you. Could we have a motion to receive, please, Councillor Wilson and Councillor Empey? Thank you. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? The motion is carried. That brings our meeting formally to a close. General Manager's got a